I started off my career working at Pilks, so I was in it at the very beginning, you see.
Did you work at Pilks? Yeah.
1939, I went from school straight into Pilkington. Oh, that was the beginning of the war. When I left and did various things, and then my first job was in the typing pool at Pilkington's, Sheep Works, just round the corner from here. And then from there I was very ambitious, so if I saw an advert in the paper for a private secretary, I would apply. So I went to Ashdowns. I don't know whether I should be saying,
yeah,
telling you all.
Of course, yeah.
I went to Ashdowns as a secretary to the sales manager, that was one thing. And then I saw the National Coal Board at Haydock wanted a secretary as chief accountant, another department, you see. So I applied there and I got that. I was there 10 years. And then in a Liverpool paper, I saw private secretary wanted to the managing director of E.R. Squibb & Sons. Now, that was a subsidiary of an American company in the States, you see. And I applied for that now. So I had a car by this time, and it was at Speke, near Speke Airport. And it was a pharmaceutical company, which was, again, out of my sphere. But I applied, and it was an American interviewing me, and he said to me, this is what I said, he said, and if I appointed you, how much notice would you have to give to the coal board? So I was rather cute here. I said, well, they've been rather good to me, and I do like working there. I think I would be expected to give a month's notice, to give them time to appoint someone else. Well, that went down really well. And he said, well, I'll be in touch. And a few days later, I got a letter, will you start, And I knew that, being an actress, you see, I'd said all that tongue-in-cheek. And that did it, you see. So I was there for 6 years, and then they were moving to London. They were leaving the factory at Speke and moving the office to London. And he said, we'd like to offer you a job. You'd like to come to London with. Well, doing all these shows, I was just about to, in 1960, I was just about to play the big part, the Merry Widow, in the Merry Widow. And I'd got that, you see. And I thought, oh, I can't, I'd have to go in digs and wouldn't be like being at home, all this. And, oh, no, I don't think I'd like that. So I said to them, I am teaching part-time at the moment, and I was teaching at Haydock Evening Institute as a part-time thing. And I said, I think I'll change and go. I said, I think I'll do a sandwich course for teaching and go into that line. They said, oh, well, we're sure you'll be very successful at that, the chap said. So he said, anyway, so we agreed a term, and I left. And I had this 2 nights a week teaching. And I was at Speke. No, sorry, my first job was at Kirby, right? Kirby College. Kirby on the way to Liverpool. And I'd been there a few months. And I'd started on the same day as a friend, actually. We were both in the office arts department, teaching shorthand typing. And because I'd been doing that at the Evening Institute, you see. And we'd been there a few months, and the principal called us in and said, we've got 2 vacancies for full-time staff. We wondered if you'd like to apply for them, but you'd have to apply with external people. You couldn't just come in and get the job. You'd have to apply, and you'd have to agree to go on a sandwich course for teaching. Oh, fine. So all the staff stayed behind, and came the interview night, and they all waited to cheer us on. And we were both offered the job, so that was my teaching. 1963, I became a full-time member of staff. And from there, I looked in the paper, saw a job in charge of the office arts department at Widnes. So I applied for that. I got that. And then I saw a job at...
Which college? Was that a college, did you say?
Further education.
Yeah,
college
okay.
For teaching adults.
And which one was it, Enid? What was the name of the college?
It was called Kirby College of Further Education.
Sorry, the one in Widnes.
Oh, the one at Widnes. That was in I'd have to look that at Cherryfield Drive it was in. It's still there, but I was in the old building, and of course they modernised it and built a new one on Birchfield Road going down into Widnes.
Yeah.
It was on the right-hand side. I saw a job advertised in Burnley, of all places. Now, I've never been to Burnley, but I was told it was a beautiful college with a lake in the park next door and that. And it was thought to be head of secretarial. So I thought, that sounds good, you know. So I applied for that. I've been very fortunate, haven't I? I applied for that and I got it. The only thing was I had to travel every day. It's 40-odd miles a day. But I like driving. It's rather fortunate. It was mostly motorway along the M6, you see. And I decided to, I said I accepted that job. And it was, I did a lot of further education courses. I would advertise in the paper for, the department wanted building up, just a few secretarial courses. So I advertised for anybody interested in doing an advanced medical secretaries course. Would come one night, and I got that course going. And then I thought, one of my jobs was to go into industry. I'd get a couple of hours a week to go into industry, try and recruit people to come to the college. And I decided to set up a private secretaries course, which it was run by the London Chamber of Commerce. And I'd read about it, and I thought, nothing on like that here. And the girls would come from their jobs in industry, and they would do this private secretaries course. And when that was called the private secretaries course. If you passed that, you could then do the private secretaries diploma course. So these girls from industry came, they took that course, they were successful, and then they would go on to the private secretaries diploma course, which was good. So we had a lot of publicity about this. And then I was only looking at the papers the other day. I must have been mad to think of it, but I thought, I wonder what the men in industry in Burnley are doing. I really ought to do something about that. And I put this advert in the paper about if there's any gentleman interested. I thought that the men who are in industry ought to know more about secretarial work. It would help them in their relationship with a secretary. And I was reading what articles I'd written and put them in the paper, and it said Miss Pennington's asking for gentlemen to come along and be made au fait with secretarial work, and it would help them. And I got these men came along. I'd like to learn shorthand, because if I learned it and I go to my meeting and there's no secretary, I'll be able to do it in shorthand. Unfortunately, some of them had already got a smattering of shorthand, but there were about 6 different kinds of shorthand. There was Pitman's, Gregg's and all that. And I decided to ask them to come along in a classroom. And on this big blackboard, I had to put the different kinds of shorthand. So if one man was doing Gregg, I would put that up. If he was doing Pitman's, I had that up, you know. And it became quite famous, and then I got somebody else to do it. And then the housewives came. Anybody who was at home and the children were in school, would they like to come along and do some secretarial work? Well, they came along, and another call. So it was quite successful. Now, being an actress and singer, I could put all this over to them. You see what I mean? What had seemed a dull, mundane thing became an attractive proposition to them, you know. So got the secretarial department was built up out of recognition. They put a lot in the paper. I got very friendly with a lady who was a reporter in the local paper. She'd come in. She must have been short of something to do, perhaps had no ideas. And I used to give her all this. Housewives of Burnley coming to the Burnley College. It was in Ormerod Road, Burnley. I remember that. I can't remember the witness one. Ormerod Road, Burnley, in a beautiful park setting. And I'd been there. Now, what